Well, tomorrow marks the 77th anniversary of the Soviet Union's portion of victory in Europe in World War II, celebrated annually in Russia with the World War II parade, what they call Victory Day. But as the Ukraine war rages on, Putin now planning to mark the event with a nuclear theme and a warning directly to the West and America. Former Trump Deputy National Security Advisor KT McFarland joins us now. Happy Mother's Day, KT, by the way. And thank you so much for being here. If you would, what do you make of Vladimir Putin? I mean, he's played up the nuclear talk before, and we knew this parade was coming, but it seems to be ratcheting up even more. What do you make of it?
Well, it's a big deal tomorrow. I mean, this is the celebration of the great Russian people's victory over Nazi Germany. And the way President Putin has played and spun the Ukraine war to his own people is that this is the great Russian people going in to get rid of the Ukrainian Nazis. So it's the nobility of the cause. What I'm looking for tomorrow is a couple of things. Is he going to come back with a lot of nuclear saber rattling? Is he going to attend these events? Sometimes he has, sometimes he hasn't. If he attends, what's he gonna look like? You know, there's a lot of speculation that he's sick or that he's been so isolated that he's miscalculated everything. So that's what I'm also looking for. But then finally, is he going to escalate this war? You know, there's a lot of speculation he's going to use the occasion of the victory to say we're winning this war, but it's really the West that's coming after us. It's the United States, it's NATO, and as a result, we, the Russians, are going to escalate. And I don't know what escalate means, but we're in totally unknown territory right now.
Yes, we are. Real quick, one more quick question on this. Recent leaks have come out that basically show the U.S. intelligence agency almost boasting about helping the Ukrainians kill generals, helping sink ships, Russian ships. Is this administration balancing, creating basically the ingredients for a wider war, or are we feeding into his propaganda right now?
Well, we're definitely feeding into his propaganda. You know, the Biden administration can't help but brag about this. They should keep their mouths shut. If they are helping, that's great. But why make it look like we're participants in this war? It just feeds into Putin's argument that, oh, this is not NATO. I mean, this is not even Ukraine. It's NATO. It's really the United States coming after the brave and noble Russian people.
You're exactly right. Not to mention what Joe Biden said when he was there, which fed into that as well. But I want to move to Afghanistan because the headline caught my eye yesterday, KT, and it felt inevitable, but it's still tragic. The Taliban in Afghanistan, who rule that country now with our equipment, have now ordered women in Afghanistan to cover head to toe. It is back to the full burqa as it was before 2001. Your take?
Well, I've been to Afghanistan several times. In fact, the jacket I'm wearing, Pete, I had made for me by some Afghan war widows who had a cooperative outside of Afghanistan. Those women will no longer be allowed to do that. Once the women are put into those full burqas, they're never going to leave their homes. No girl over the age of about 12 is going to be allowed outside. They get covered, they stay at home, they don't have access to education, to health care, they don't learn how to read and write, they certainly have no rights. They will disappear. And that's just one of many tragedies of this Afghan war. But sadly, on Mother's Day, that's what's going to happen to the Afghan people.
It's exactly who the Taliban are. It's exactly who they were when they were supposedly providing security when 13 of our bravest were killed. You could see this outcome coming, and now they have our equipment as well. What a failure and a tragedy for those women. And God bless those that are trying to survive there. KT McFarland, thank you so much for breaking it down this morning.
Thanks, Pete.
You got it.